And people are freaking pointing at me as if, my reels are speaking directly for them. And I'm just speaking here for the overall gist of it, I guess. I'm not even, pointing at people. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. But damn, dude, this lady freaking, she went off, bro. She's like, I'm loyal, but he's a womanizer. And I was reading the comment like, and then there comes another woman in the comment below, and she's like explaining all the freaking verses from the Bible and stuff, and she's going, full on preacher mode and calling me, maybe I didn't understand what I was saying. I was like, there are lots of components besides being loyal. You could be loyal and you can also be a prick at the same time. You can be loyal, but your perception or your understanding of what loyal is could be deceiving or could be manipulative. There's just so many versions of loyal, especially when I say I'm loyal, there's a lot of suspicion there, then you know what I mean? I mean, you don't need to say that out loud on the internet, like, I am loyal, but he's a womanizer. Like, why do you need to get to, why do you need to prove that on the internet? Do you know what I mean? And you could say the same for me, maybe, but I'm not there. I'm not out here saying, like, you know, I'm not commenting it down there. I'm just putting it out there. But I don't get people trying to take reels as if, they are the victim. Do you know what I mean? It's a whole different topic that I'm gonna talk about in a separate video, I think. But yeah, man, I've been out for a week. A week, yeah. And today is, before we forget the freaking intro, it's February 17. It's almost 7:40 a.m. And yeah, I went out, I was back home. And dude, at the airport, I was sitting there, and prior to going to the airport, I was already awake for close to 30 hours. So I was awake a whole day just handling things, trying to get the business done and work and everything, getting things sorted. So, there's no backup or like backlog work that I have to do when I get back here. And that still ends up happening. But I was trying to make sure, to deload it in a sense. Excuse me. Anyways, I get to the airport. Now I'm fucking half asleep and half awake. And it goes smooth, like everything goes smooth. And I'm just sitting there at the cafe, and I'm like drinking coffee, and I see this woman on a wheelchair. And I kid you not, she was carrying a huge fucking key. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm just like trying to process, like, what the fuck is happening? Is she gonna open up? Like, what is she doing? Is she opening up the freaking door to heaven or something? And she's gonna go up in the sky and do something? I was like, and mind you, I was like half asleep, so I'm thinking all these stupid things. And I finished my coffee, I got up, and then I was sitting like close to the check-in. I mean the board-in. And there's a group of guys there. And we were like, we know, like, we observe each other, so like it's like, yeah. And one of the guys stands up, and I kid you not, he had the shortest legs I've ever seen. I thought he was gonna freaking be huge, But when he stood up, like, imagine if he's sitting and then he stood up and he only went up like this much. And the guy beside me chuckled, and the other guy as well started chuckling a little bit. And the guy said, like, bro, I have like small legs. And then the guy who chuckled first stood up and he was almost the same height. I was like, God damn, bro, what the fuck? What? Anyways, and then everything was good. Like, I went there and I was like, some things got me thinking. Like, I was visiting my grandmother's and I was thinking, elderly people after a certain age do really become, without any disrespect to my grandmothers or elderly people out there, but when you don't take care of yourself, you really do, as you age, you become like a child. But like, I don't know how to even explain, but you become a child physically, you become a child mentally as well if you don't keep yourself, running, or let me say like training, or in a diet, on like on track. If you lose that, I feel like when you get older, it's somewhat like, I don't want to say it, but it's the truth. It's very miserable. You know what I mean? When you were capable of doing so many things, moving around, doing everything a human can, and then now suddenly, after 40, 50, 60 years of doing that, now you're unable to do anything. Can you imagine that? It must suck, It must be so fucking clogging, like it should be drowning almost, that you were able to, but now you're unable. And I feel like even that is not like it's your own fault. That's what I'm trying to say here. To all the elderly people out there, it's your own fault, honestly. You could blame everything in the world because guess what? Everyone else does that, and it's easy to do that. Escaping accountability, or like, you know, discipline or routine, or, self-care, all these things. It's very easy to blame anything else because it's there. It's there to blame. You can choose to blame that or yourself. It's up to you. And I think it's a reminder. It was a reminder for me, and that's why I'm sharing it here. It's like, you could blame anything and it could be true. But guess what? If you choose to blame that, that's the easy road. And then what happens? You become the lazy fuck. You become the bedridden old guy, or the guy who can't stand up. He has knee pains, back pains, and so on and so forth. Like today, I kept having lower back pain. I've never had lower back pain. I was like, what the fuck is going on? I still trained. I still did some, body weight exercises, different push-up variations and stuff, even though I didn't want to. I was fucking, like, I just didn't want to. But I still did. I got my semi-workout in. And then I was like, you know what? I heard somewhere that if you have lower back pain, it's usually your hamstrings or your thigh muscles, and usually your legs are very stiff in general. So you should stretch your legs in a way where it stretches the hamstrings and stuff and the muscles themselves. And I started doing some stretches. 10 minutes in, my fucking lower back pain was gone. Zero. Zero. I kid you not, zero. I wasn't able to sit, and I'm fine now. So, there's a lot there too about stretching and stuff. And then going back, I remember this. All these elderly people, yes, they are, I don't want to say like, it's hard to say that they are miserable, you know what I mean? But they are. They are miserable, and it's completely their fault. It's because they stopped working out, they didn't, put enough effort into their own self-care. Yes, there were so many other things. You can blame everything. I said that before. You can blame anything. In the end, it's up to you, really. And if you choose to, or if you want to live like a freaking healthy life, I would say like keep fucking training, eat good, and because I wouldn't fucking want to be at that place. Like if I ever fucking got like bedridden or something, bro, I'll climb up a couple of fucking stairs and I'll drop fucking banana peels on every stair. And when I reach the top of the stairs, I'll try to fucking throw myself down the stairs, like fuck it, you know what I mean? And if I'm unable to do that, I'm gonna try and come back down the stairs, but now there are fucking banana peels. So I'm gonna, fuck it, like burn the boats in a way. But here I am fucking making the stairs like slippery. So many things, man. But yeah, it made me thankful. It made me realize that whether you like it or not, if you survive, you're gonna end up being old. So, and then there's a choice, Either you become a fragile old person, or you could become a healthy or a more freaking locomotive, you know what I mean? A freaking old engine running, analytic or something, Analog, that's what I That's an old engine, but fuck it. It keeps on taking, and it's doing its work. It's being useful. I really do wish that for everyone. Like I can't imagine myself, but at the same time, I'm just thinking like, if I can't imagine that, then how bad it must it be for others who were able to do all these things, but they were just so busy with the things in life that circumstances and things started happening to them and they couldn't control, and then suddenly now they're unable to do all these things, not even able to climb stairs or walk or run. It must be like a fucking, what a crazy experience. I can't even put myself there. And then I was thinking, like, you grow up once. Think about this. I even made a reel about it because I was like, it hit me so hard. I was like, there's so many factors there. You grow up once. That's the first thing. So that's your own experience. You growing up and looking through your own eyes, the things, the people, your family, your friends, everything around you. And while you're growing up, you look at things differently. And then there's another level there. You grow up with the things, people, friends, your childhood, your life, your time, your first 2 decades of the first decade in this world is spent. You can't really get it back. And you can't really redo that. You can't redo that. You can't change the people. You can't change the things. You can't change the circumstances. So those are the only people who've seen you and you've seen them. You can't change the people. So that's freaking very, very valuable as well. And then once you grow up, now you've grown up with these people, You've spent your precious first decade with these people and you can't really change it. You can't take it back. It's done. It's done. And I think those are the only people who are deserving of trust and love. That should be your priority. if they were really sincere with you, if they were, you know, they were responding to your care, to your, everything. If they were honest and real and caring of you, I think they deserve the most priority out of everything, just like your family, I think. But you get it, right? It's crazy, bro. And there's another thing I noticed. A lot of people, which I've discussed before, they fear the silence. They fear the silence. And it's a very weird thing. You need to fear the silence first. It's like a whole experience. You don't really get it, and you really can't get it unless you have the fear of silence. Then you try to overcome it. Then you freaking master it in a way, and then you're sitting alone by yourself. And then it doesn't bother you, and you can face it. And you can call it for what it is. It's like, ah, shit, I can't do a push-up, but after a year or two, if you keep training and you keep training and you keep training, I know a year is too long, but I'm just saying, you eventually can do a push-up with a perfect form. And you just gotta fucking keep hammering at it. And that's all these things, man. I feel like that's all these things, these illnesses that people, or these unnecessary or irregular fears that people have developed with isolation, with all these self-critiquing thoughts and stuff. It's like you gotta challenge those, It's like, I was saying that to my grandmother. Like, my grandmother said to me, I can't really stand up, I was trying to get her to move and go to the garden area so we can, watch the plants or the birds in the sky. She hasn't gone out. So I tried I told her, like, let's get up, let's get up. Let's go out. And she got up. She almost got, there, like, but then she's like, I can't, I'm unable to, it's, I don't have the willpower for it. And then I told her, like, that's not true. And she looked at me, she was like, what? I'm like, that's not true. And she's like, what do you mean? She almost got like semi-pissed, but curious at the same time. I explained to her. I was visiting my other grandmothers. So this is the one I'm speaking to is my grandmother from my mother's side. And my other grandmother, which is from my father's side, she was complaining about. So now I'm telling this story, this experience, to my mother's mother. Okay, so my mother's side grandmother, that my father's side grandmother was telling me that her fingers were numb. So my father's mother was saying, like, my fingers are numb, I can't feel them, I have this tingling sensation in my fingers. They're going numb, I can't move them, and so on and so forth. She was complaining. And mashallah, she's in her late 90s, so she's close to a freaking century, very close. So I told my grandmother, okay, show me my hand, show me your hand. So she showed me her hand. So I was like, okay. So I started, like, just tapping her finger. And I asked her, do you feel that? And she's like, yes. She waited for a couple of seconds and then she said yes. I did it with the other finger, all the 5 fingers. And then I asked her like, so if you can feel them, how are your fingers numb? And then you could almost see this, her face like changed. She got shook. She's like, oh yeah, he's right. Like if my fingers were numb, I wouldn't feel him touching my fingers, right? And she's like, let's not talk about this subject. And I was like, come on, dude. And I said, I explained this whole scenario to my mother's side grandmother, that my father's side grandmother was saying this. So my mother's side grandmother was like, yeah, that's true, okay. So I caught her, like, I'm like, why are you saying things that are not real? You're just, thinking about them. And it's like, it's very important. I feel really bad for people and this culture that, isolates elderly people or grandmothers or grandparents. And I do understand some scenarios where, certain elderly people do get very, very annoying or very, hard to deal with, let's say that. Or maybe they're very toxic or bad mouthing things. And it's like, it's because maybe they had a hard life. And I don't really have all the answers, to be honest with you. I could say this, maybe you could try being the positive force or try to do something about that. And you could do all that and still fail. And I do understand the scenario then. But I'm saying generally for most elderly people, even your parents, don't kick them out, dude. This culture, this world, you only get one parents. They grow you up. And I mean it, even if you have a spouse, I would say like, get your spouse parent as well if they want to. And you can get your parents too. I mean, I wish more people are out there who keep this alive, who keep treating their own parents till the end, I think most people will carry this guilt who didn't do that. And eventually, over a generation or two, the new norm would be to just not have, the fucking fruit fly here. But the new norm will be to just, leave your parents to be, send them to these old homes, send them to these freaking, old house communities and stuff. And I don't know what's the right thing, but I think personally what I see is, I think the elderly people should be with the people they were with, they are familiar with. They should be training, they should be working out, they should be eating healthy, all this stuff. And it's a part of life, Maybe someday, if I survive, I'll be an old guy too. And so will you be, if you survive. Or maybe you are. And if you are an old guy, I would say, or you're an old, I don't know what to say, old mama, old mama or old dada, I would say, start taking those steps, start involving yourself in the physical pursuit, like do some sort of a workout. Could be walking. You could start with walking. I'm not saying walking is the final thing. You could start with walking, then go towards, a little bit of jogging, running, maybe lifting some small amounts of weights and training yourself and get yourself freaking physically active and able to do things on your own. And there's so many examples out there, man. There's so many freaking old people. these dinosaurs, bro. I mean it with all respect. All these dinosaurs, bro, they're fucking training still and working out and eating healthy and, fucking lifting their great great grand freaking children, bro. And that's true. I think physical pursuit could be like the elixir of freaking immortality, but like a light version, you don't really get to live to fucking end of time, but you do get to extend your life a lot, quite a lot. You know, yeah, that's pretty much it. I think I'm gonna end this episode here, and I'll speak to you later then.